Good day, everyone. Today we're going to be having our second topic, which is the gender concepts. Okay. Gender concepts. Regarding this, we are going to be talking about several things. Okay. We are going to be having to define gender equality. We are going to be identifying principles for long-term goals, and then identifying the effects of institution mass socialization towards gender. We're also going to be comparing transgender and transsexual, also gender equality and gender equity. We're also going to be looking at patterns of gender equality in terms of gender gap. Okay. Um, Before we actually proceed to the topic, we have discussed last meeting about the gender gap, the differences of the roles in gender of genders in our society. No, that this gender is created by the society, okay, to separate men and women. So, yun yung binigay sa atin. So, without further ado, let us start with our gender concepts, okay? To start with, okay, let's ask ourselves several intriguing questions. Okay, regarding gender equality, all of us has an idea of what gender equality is. We have heard of this before. And now let us ask basic questions about it. Okay. Can we break gender? Is gender equality enough? Okay. How does it imply in economic, political, and societal effects? So, what do we need to break this gender gap? So, these are the basic questions that we're going to be answering. First, let us answer the first question. Okay. Can we break gender? Okay. The subordination of women limits the potential of women to achieve full dignity and humanity. A society free of subordinations of any one gender is difficult to imagine. Okay, medyo it's very hard to imagine a society without gender or gender gap. But um, if we think about it, okay, gender is socially constructed. Therefore, it can be deconstructed. So, like any other social system, it can be deconstructed. So, further in the discussion, we will be discussing how do we break this social construct. Okay. When we dismantle sex gender systems, um, is it enough? Pag sinira natin yung sex gender systems in the society, enough ba to para makakuha tayo ng prosperous society? It's not enough, okay? Eh, it's not enough. Why is it not enough? Because we have these several problems: the economy, the political, and societal. Because all these three actually indicates, or not sorry, not indicate, but actually promotes gender inequality. Okay, the economy will promote gender inequality. Politics will promote gender inequality, and also the society will promote inequality. It is obvious that as long as poverty remains in the plight of the majority of women, men, and children, gender equality, if at all possible, will simply mean equality in the oppression. Okay, but mere prosperity is not sufficient. Okay, it's not sufficient. Gender equality requires an economic system fruits of reproductive work as given as much or even more importance that the fruits of productive works. Okay? So, hindi lang po sapat na sirain natin yung gender. Hindi rin lang sapat na makuha natin ang prosperity na gusto natin na yung equal. It's not enough to uplift the society. We have to also consider the economic function of these gender roles in our economy. Okay? May effect sa economy natin kung sisirain natin tong gender equality. So we must destroy that idea as well. Furthermore, the economic system needs to be reconstructed rather than just educated. So kulang yung pag-aaral natin ngayon. Hindi lang tayo mag-aaral tungkol dito, kundi dapat natin may gawin tayo tungkol dito. Okay? For so many years, we have been studying how to accept this gender gap. Or sorry, not to accept, but to restructure this. But studying it alone is not enough. Okay? we must make a move. When we say make a move, sir, we are making a move. Nagkakaroon na tayo ng mga bill na bago, nagkakaroon na tayo ng law bago. People are more open to the idea of this gender roles, this gender equality. However, it's not enough. Bakit not enough? Hindi lang po kasi dapat in a regional scale, in a national scale, but global scale dapat ang ating action. Dahil hanggat may natitira na konti, gender equality could not be achieved. Okay? So we must have a reconstruction of the whole system, not just a portion, not just the region, not just our school, not just the country, but the whole world itself. Okay? So kung mapapansin natin, history is not very kind to gender equality, di ba? When we look at history, it's always in favor of the men. Looking at literatures, it's always in favor of men. Only few feminist writers are actually promoting gender equality. So, we must break this system. And medyo mahirap sirain yon. Bakit mahirap sirain? Masyado na siyang nakaugat sa atin. From elementary, or from preschool, from grade school, to your high school, to your senior high school, gender gap has been present all the time. So, why is this important to know? Because you are going to be teachers. You are going to be molding the next generation. Since you're going to be molding the next generation, I am hoping that you are more gender conscious about this and promotes gender equality because it is in your hands to actually create a generation where there is no gender gap. Okay? Aside from restructuring the economy of the world, we also have to restructure the political system. Okay? Some feminists insist that such system should not be hierarchical. So, ano ba itong sinasabing hierarchy? Okay? Mapapansin natin sa politics, there's always the male-dominated politics. Sir, nag-Gloria tayo. Cory. Ang vice president si Lenny. But still, when we look at the composition of our national leaders, still majority are male. 'Di ba? Bakit ganon? Bakit ganon? Puro ganon. When you can remember the first topic, we discussed how this is made from being brought up by parents. Bata ka pa lang, ini-insist na sa'yo yung gender role mo. That you are a female, that you should be like this. That you are a male, that you should be like this. 'Di ba? Even as we go to our lolos and lolas and even to our mothers and fathers, kalalaki mong tao, araw ka kayan. 'Di ba? O kababae mong tao, araw ka kayan. 'Di ba? Those little things contribute to the creation of this gender gap, unconsciously pinning to the head of our next generation this bad idea of gender inequality. 'Di ba? Dapat lalaki um, magaling mag-advise. I mean, good decision maker. 'Di ba? Sabi natin sa first topic natin, male should be good decision maker and a female should be good with family relations. 'Di ba? Dapat marunong kang mag-alagang bata, kababae mong tao. Kababae mong tao dapat marunong kang magtahi, 'di ba? Kalalaki mong tao, di ka tataong basic na carpentry, 'di ba? These actions, these words actually amplify to a bigger scale. That's why we have very few leaders that are female because of this idea. A lot of good female leaders is more qualified than males in our politics, in our government, di ba? Kung mapapansin natin. However, they're not given the chance because sa karampanyahan ay babae, di ba? Araw na kaya ng ano, ay sasabi-sabihan sana ni kaning araw kani. Di ba? That's how society works. That's how politics works. So we have to restructure this. Okay? Dapat mawala yung hierarchy. Dapat mawala yung this is better than this. Ay, lalaki dapat pag leader, lalaki talaga dapat eh. Pag president, dapat lalaki para assertive. 'Di ba? But when we look at some female leaders, government officials such as Miriam Defensor, the late Miriam Defensor. Oh, she really demonstrated a good leadership skill, good communication skill, and very assertive siya, 'di ba? So, we have to destroy this political aspect. Next is the societal. Okay, the society actually is the main cause of this gender gap. The society actually creates these gender roles. No, like ang lalaki bawal magkawat Barbie, and ang babae bawal magkawat ng badil-badilan. In those actions will create a bigger problem, and that is the gender inequality. Okay, so now the question is now, what do we need? Okay? When we ask ourselves, what do we now need? Ano bang kailangan talaga natin? Kailangan lang ba natin tanggalin ito? Hindi po ganun kadali yun. Bakit hindi ganun kadali? Kasi masyado na siyang matagal na naka-inject sa atin. Okay? It has long been injected in our society. It has long been injected into our heads and into our hearts. So therefore, what we need is long-term principles. Okay? This could not be solved by mere doing petty things. Okay? We have to have a very long-term principles that we are going to be following to promote and to eradicate this gender inequality. Okay? So the first thing that we have to consider is every individual has the right to grow according to their capability and inclination. Okay? If you want to be a military as a little girl, then do so. Okay? I hope um, religion is not in our discussion muna ngunyan, no? Because religion is a very big deal regarding this gender equality. So let's put that aside first. Okay? So every individual has the right to grow. So we must promote this when you have children, when you have kids, when you are teaching in the future. Okay? You always make sure that your students feel the right to choose. Okay? May karapatan sila magpili. Okay? So, give every individual this. Next is, sorry. Next is every individual has the right to sexual and reproductive freedom. Sexuality must be defined in terms of affirmation of self and others. Women must have the right to determine whether, when, and with whom to have children. Okay? Usually kasi dito po, ano bang, this is funny na. I talk to some students and they ask me, they tell me who their crush is, diba? Now, after telling me who their crush is, I told them, why not make a move? Ika na ang manligaw sa lalaki. Why not do that? Masupog bako akong arrogant na babae. Di ba arrogant ang response? Bakit? When a girl tries to court a man, it becomes taboo. Okay? The society would not look at that properly. Malandi, magatol, maati. Di ba that's the term? But when a man, when a boy, when a male courts a female, that's normal, that's okay. However, when you reverse the situation, it seems very absurd for the society to do it. So right now, let me ask you, okay? Let me ask you. The- I want you just to think of the answer. What would you do if you see a woman courting a man? When you see that, most likely your reaction would be negative, di ba? Kasi bakit nagliligaw yung babae? So we have to eliminate that. The women also has the right to actually choose who their partner is. May karapatan sila sa family. And one more thing, according to the gender gap natin, yung sexual and reproductive freedom, this also indicates our separation from our roles in the family. Okay? Since you are the wife, dapat ini na ang gibuhon mo. Since you are the husband, dapat ini na gibuhon mo. So we also have to remove that. Kalalaki mong tao, arog ka kani. Dapat ikaw nagtatrabaho, dapat ikaw nag-provide sa family, di ba? We must eradicate that idea and that thinking. Okay? Next is women and men need a primary group to achieve this aspiration. Okay, when we say primary group to achieve this aspiration, there must be a group where they promote equality between women and men. Okay, let me just insert this a bit. Sir, bakit women and men lang? Walang yung third sex, like the gay, the lesbian. I will get to that later. Okay, but for now, let us talk about the gap between women and men. So this primary group are the people that promotes this. Kumbaga sinda ang police kani. This group actually helps promote this in the society, helps maintain this in the society, helps remind the children and the parents of this. Okay? So, hindi lang po dapat tayo lang nakakaalam, meron dapat grupo na nagre-remind. Examples of this group are of you. Okay? The teachers are good examples of this primary group. Okay? You are the sole benefactor of creating the next generation. That's why this subject is very important for you. For BE Ed, you will be honing the primary. For BSE, you'll be honing the secondary. Diba? So with this tandem, imagine nindo, elementary pa lang, tinutukdoan na ni gender equality, and then high school, i-reinforce pa kan gender equality, they would grow up fine. Okay? Equal ang men and women. Okay? Next is, our last is the sexual division of labor must be eliminated. Okay, by the recognition and valorization of reproductive work and by the entry of women into the productive sphere and of men into the reproductive sphere. Remember in our first topic, we discussed about the productive sphere and then reproductive sphere. Productive sphere is the sphere of males na dapat strong, firm, leader, decision maker, critical thinker, 'di ba? Yan ang sphere kang men. Sphere of women dapat gentle, firm, good with details. Okay? More on emotion when deciding, 'di ba? So we have to eliminate this. Okay? Even in labor, imagine mo mapagibo kang gate, okay? Nag-apply duwa sarong babae sarong lalaki. Most of the time you will pick the guy, no? The male. Bakit mas makusog nga sir? Kaya niyang magibong pusog na gate, 'di ba? We have to eliminate that idea. Okay? Pag babae perming sweeper, 'di ba? So we have to remove that, okay? As future teachers. So I hope you remember this for this will be our inclining principle all throughout the semester. So please remember this for not memorize it but get the idea of each. Okay, let's now proceed to transgender and transsexual. Okay? Kadakol urulay digdi. Okay, many questions about these two. Okay, so the word transgender is what is a transgender and what is a transsexual. So let's define them first, both, and then compare them. The word transgender is an umbrella term that describes those who have gender that's different from sex assigned at birth. Okay, so the basic when we say umbrella term, encompass everyone, no? From gay, from lesbian to queer. This is the umbrella term. That's why we call it umbrella term dahil naga-umbrella siya. Okay? From one point going down. That's why we call it the umbrella term. Okay? The umbrella term that describes those who have gender that's different from the sex assigned at birth. So remember, when you are born, sa birth certificate nindo, nakalaag naman kung male or female ka. According to our first topic, ang basihan is our anatomy. Okay? Ano ang reproductive system na yaon sa imo. So, iyan ang sa imong sex. However, okay, transgender are the people who does not have an aligned gender with their sex. Their sex and gender are not aligned. So, iba ang gender niya, iba ang sex niya. Okay? So, transsexual naman is a more specific term that fits under a transgender umbrella. This word can be contentious and shouldn't be used unless someone specifically asked to be referred this way. What do we mean by that? Let's get into it a bit, no? The term transgender can mean different things to different people. Okay, iba-iba. Kada haputan mo, iba man ang definition ng transgender. And that's okay. Okay? Since transgender is not, there's no universal definition for what is a transgender. Every community, every society, every country, every group of people may give a different definition of transgender. And that is okay. Bakit sir iba-iba and that is okay? Remember that gender is created by the community and gender is created by the society. So whoever created this has the right to define transgender as the community dictates. Uh, okay? Depende kung isa hinahaputan mo. Okay? This can be confusing at first, okay? Particularly if you or someone you know think they might be a transgender, okay? I'm sure you know a transgender, no? For example, a person who was assigned a female sex at birth and has a male sense of self could be categorized as transgender, and if a person was assigned a male at birth and has a female sense of self, okay? Inis tinapod tang tomboy and bakla. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? For example, okay, someone can identify as a transgender man, a transgender woman, or as a transgender non-binary person. Ano ba tong non-binary person, sir, na sinasabi mo? Arami, sir, ang transgender man, arami ang transgender woman. What do you mean by transgender non-binary person? Non-binary is an umbrella term that describes those who have a gender that can't be exclusively categorized as male or female. Hindi siya male, hindi siya female. So may own category siya. Okay? Some transgender people change their appearance, body, name, legal gender marker to convey what we mean by legal gender marker. This is the organ, okay? To convey and affirm their internal experience of gender. Others don't feel the need to make changes. Meron naman hindi nagpapalit, no? And okay lang 'yon. Okay? It's okay. Whether you change your appearance or you don't change your appearance, but you categorize yourself as transgender, you are a transgender. So, what exactly does it mean to be a transsexual? Historically and medically, the term transsexual was used to indicate a difference between one's gender and identity, their internal experience of gender, and sex assigned at birth. So, halos same lang siya sa transgender, no? But more specifically, the term is often, though not always, used to communicate that one's experience of gender involves medical changes. Okay? Sa ibang grupo, when we say transsexual, these are people who makes changes, alter their anatomy, alter their appearance. Sa ibang grupo, yan ang definition nila. Okay? Some groups actually do similar to the word transgender. The meaning of transsexual can vary from person to person, culture to culture, across history. Okay? So depende kung isayang haputan, sa in ka maghapot, kanso arin ka naghapot. Okay? Similar definitions, many transgender people don't identify as transsexual. Okay? Transgender ako pero habo kong transsexual. Because transsexual isn't an umbrella term. Okay? It should never be used to refer to the entire transgender community. Okay? It's important to remember that the term transsexual doesn't include or reflect the experience of many who are part of the transgender community. Therefore, it should be used to refer to someone unless they specifically assert that preference. So, safe po ang transgender. We refer to them as transgender. If they want to be referred to as transsexual, then we refer to them as transsexual. Okay? Bakit gano'n? Bakit ayaw nila, ba't may grupo na ayaw ng transsexual pero gusto ng transgender? Because gender and sex, di ba dinefine natin sa ang ating first part, that gender is the role. Sex is the anatomy. Okay? They want to change their role in the society but not their anatomy. That's why other people are offended. Okay? If you change your anatomy but still do the role of a man, then you are a man. Okay, so we have to be very cautious about this. Further, some transgender people find the word transsexual to be offensive and stigmatizing. This is because of the history and roots of the professional fields of medicine and psychology. Okay, before there seems to be I've read several articles that refers to having confusion with regards to your gender as psychologically ill. Medyo may diferensya na kasi lalaki siya pero gusto niyang babae or babae siya gusto niyang lalaki. I mean, gusto niyang maging lalaki. Lalaki na attract sa lalaki. How is that possible? So psychologists before thought that it's a mental illness. However, in the recent studies of psychology, professionals in the medicine and mental health now understand that having a transgender, transsexual gender identity isn't a mental illness, hindi siya sakit. And that transgender identities are a natural occurring part of human gender diversity and gender experiences. I've read in the article, our society now is more complex than ever. The demand for a person has been very complex. And because of this complexity, we create a complex array of genders. Nagdadakol. Kasi kadakol ang pagbabago, kadakol ang complexity. Therefore, our gender also adjusts dahil society siya to be complex as well. And this is a good sign that the society is actually changing. Okay? So, nagde-develop ang society, nagde-develop man ang gender knowledge kam tao. Okay? It sounds like I said the same thing twice. Okay? So, parang sinabi ko lang same. Okay? Okay? So, is it a mental illness? It's not a mental illness. Okay? It sounds the same. What's the difference? Okay. The main difference between the word transgender and the word transsexual has to do with the way it's used and experienced. Okay? So many transgender people have report having negative association with the word transsexual. Current best practices in the transgender health still use the word transsexual, but acknowledge that it's no longer the most inclusive and affirming term to describe someone who has a gender that's different from sex assigned at birth. Transgender or trans are now generally accepted and promoted terms that society use to describe those who have a gender that's different from the sex assigned at birth. Okay? So, do you have any clarification or question regarding those discussions? May hapot ba ni? If no question, please type 1. Are you still there? Okay. Anyway, for those who are not live today, your questions will be entertained through the comment section. Just write your questions below. Okay. After writing the questions below, I'll be responding to it according to our format in our orientation. Okay. Um, Okay. Activities are posted in your group page. So together with this video, below this video, you'll see your activities. Okay, this is the second topic that I sent. The deadline would be on October 25, 2020. So when we say October 25, until midnight. Okay. How do you send it? It's either you send it through Messenger, email. What else? The flash drive. Okay? So, syempre, pong flash drive, hindi pwedeng midnight, no? But email and messenger, I am still accepting your answers there. Okay, so please send me the file. Sir, paano kung walang computer? It's okay, just write it on a paper. Take a very clear, good picture of it. Hindi ko sinasabing bumili ng magandang camera, but take a very clear picture of it. Okay? And then send it to me through messenger or email. Okay? Okay, thank you for watching. We'll see each other probably next week. May naglalog pa. So, bye guys. Thank you.